This is Nerd Hat.
This is Nerd Hat.
This is Nerd Hat.
Nerds.
Nerds.
Greetings.
Hey.
Just a simple.
Hey. Time to summon the worms.
What?
Time to summon the worms, Will. The worms. The big old worms that were in the sand. The big bitch worms.
I have a question. Does Martin live on a diet of worms?
See, when you
What?
say things like that, I kind of check out. I'm just like, I don't get it. I don't get it, man.
Does Martin live on a diet of worms?
Okay. We're gonna talk about Dune 2. Have you guys talked about Dune 1?
We have not.
Well,
No.
what the hell?
We found out last night that Will hasn't seen it yet.
Okay, well, see you guys. We'll bye.
I am a Dune virgin.
End recording.
Yeah, I guess I should have asked, but I just assumed you'd already seen it, or that you would watch it.
Recording?
Okay, so Will, really, all you needed to know was that Timothy Chalamet is the golden boy of the anarchists, right? And spice is a drug. It shouldn't be called spice, but that's in the sand where the sand people live, kind of like Star Wars.
They have spice in Star Wars too.
And then
apparently.
But see, in the first movie, you don't get introduced to.
I was explaining the first movie, Richard. Yeah.
Well, what about his father? What about?
I hadn't gotten there yet. I wasn't done.
Okay.
I had a dramatic pause.
I know nothing.
All right.
Are we still recording?
So
yes, we're recording.
Paul, who's played by Timothy Chalamet, is the golden boy. He is seen as the Messiah by half of the sand people.
Not in the first movie.
Okay. Again. Okay.
Arguably not in the second either. Until the end.
You know what? Okay. Oh, what are you doing?
I'm starting the video back up.
We need to edit this because I feel silly.
Why is this doing this?
We need to edit this.
That just means that you're doing it right.
No, I don't want to do it this way. I want to sound like I know what I'm talking about. So Paul had
one, right?
You know what? This is why I don't go to the theater. Oh, by the way, I actually went to go see this one in the theater in person because I thought the first one was that semi-intriguing.
Yeah, this is one. Yeah, that is new for this season. Like Laura was watching part 1 with me, and yes, she was interested enough to come with Will and I.
Except when I got to the theater and realized that IMAX in Winston-Salem means the volume is turned up really loud. And I was complaining about this on the way back home after we watched it. I was like, okay, if a movie's good, it should shake the seats 3 times, but not the entire movie. This movie was 2 hours and 40 minutes long. And it shook the seats with every sentence. And it shouldn't do that. It shouldn't do that. It was too much. So Winston, you need to go check yourself. You have to. You must.
Yes, and I'm considering lodging a formal request or complaint with them because it's always the volume there has always been off so
fucking loud.
Ever since the first time I went to IMAX there, it's always been too loud and the balance is a little bit off, and it's always been that way. And yeah, maybe no one's ever let them know. I don't know. I think, but yeah, I have a feeling though. I was speculating that when IMAX started franchising itself and started spreading around to other theaters, before, maybe, I don't know, 15 years ago, it was only in science centers and there might be 1 or 2 screens per state. So it was much more selective. I think they put more care into each installation. But when they started franchising it, I don't know if that's the right word, but when they started popping up in a bunch of other theaters, I think the quality went down a bit. you still get the massive
Uh,
screen and you still get the surround sound. But yeah, but yeah, it was too loud. I agree.
Can we go back to my version of the first movie? That's what I
Yeah.
really want right
Okay.
now.
Okay. You can tell the first movie.
This is like the first time I've actually known something about the movie you guys
Yeah.
watched. And for once in a while, for once, Will doesn't know what's going on. And I do.
I
And
know.
you know what? I just want to,
That's
I just
true.
want to like, just embrace that a little bit and go, ha! No.
My,
Anyway,
how the tables
the
turned.
first,
Maybe y'all should be convincing me to see the first movie.
oh my goodness. First movie is a fight over this spice that is a hallucinogen that the sand people have dominated. The Paul's dad, what's his name, babe?
Leto.
Leto, which is played by Oscar Isaacs, is leading his group of people to harvest the spice. And the sand people are like, don't do that. We don't like that. So his people get attacked.
Not by the same people.
His people get attacked by this massive slug guy. It's kind of like Jabba the Hutt, who floats around, and he's a big old dick. And his people attack. No, it's the emperor.
The Norwegian slug. No, it's not
the
emperor.
Norwegian slug.
It's the Duke Harkonnen.
Duke Harkonnen. His people attack Oscar Isaac's people, and a bunch of them die, and only Paul and his mom, the baby mama, are able to escape.
The bedroom mama.
So they escape into the desert. Am I skipping a lot of the first movie? Absolutely, because none of it matters. Just kidding. The mom is kind of like a what is she, like a oh, what am I trying to say? Person who reads palms.
No.
Say it, babe. Say it.
It's very.
She's a witch. No, let me explain this. You can over explain this in a minute, but let me say.
Well, I mean, you asked me. Bene Gesserit is the name.
Bene Gesserit, of course.
She's a member of the Bene Gesserit order.
Yes, and they do magic, cool stuff where they speak into people's brains and make them do things. So she has that going for her. She has also taught Paul to speak into people's brains as well. So he's kind of has like some magic powers that is not common for his people. Anyway, so they're in the desert. They are found by the desert people who don't like them because they are outsiders. They are the fancy people.
The Fremen.
No, the outsiders.
Desert people's name is the Fremen.
The desert people.
The Freemen.
Fremen. And they're like, hey, what are you doing out here? And they're like, look, we can do cool things here if you just let us. And they're like, I don't trust you, piece of shit. And they're like, hey, get in a fight. And they're like, sure, we'll do that. So meanwhile, Paul's mom has a baby inside of her. That's where babies happen. And then Paul gets in a fight with one of the Fremen people and kills him. And that's the body that we see at the beginning of the second movie, where then that's where you come in, Will. And that's where we left off. Timothée Chalamet, Paul, is trying to prove himself to the Fremen that he's actually all that in a bag of chips. There, boom, done. See you later. See you next week, guys. I'm just kidding. But that was my description. Hope that was helpful.
The entire time I watched part 2, I just kept trying to decide whether or not it was some sort of religious allegory.
Oh, it was very much an allegory, I thought.
I don't know if I'd call what
But it had aspects of allegory, not complete allegory.
Well, they kept saying Southern fundamentalists, and I just thought that was funny.
I don't think allegory is the correct term. Allegory, in my opinion, would not be the correct term in describing what Frank Herbert is attempting to do.
What would be the correct term?
Well,
he's writing a story.
What's the mom's name? Paul?
Yes.
So Paul comes from outer space from royalty,
Yes.
and then lives among the poor people and becomes one of them.
Mm, and is trying to lead the sand poor people, which aren't really poor. They just don't have a lot of water. It's like they worship water almost. And he's trying to help them defeat everyone else that is trying to get after the spice. That's what I have understood it to be.
Yeah, he wants to lead them back to paradise. He wants them to allow them to regain control of their own planet and to make it green again, basically. So yeah, essentially to a form of paradise. Um, but along the way, he also wants revenge for the death of his father and of the House Atreides and all of the people he cares about. But obviously, his father and Duncan, Idaho, being two of the biggest deaths.
Did you just say his father was from a city called Duncan in the state of Idaho?
That's what I heard.
No,
that's what I heard. Will
Duncan, Idaho is the name of the character that Jason Momoa plays in the first movie, which you didn't.
Jason Momoa is in the first movie.
I know.
Yes, he is.
And Will, let me tell you, if you were bored in the second movie, oh, Aquaman is looking real good in the first movie because it was kind of like that. I was like, his character was not that interesting. I'm serious. His character was so uninteresting that they killed him. Like, you're boring. Bam, you're dead.
Was Batista in the first movie too?
Was it? What? Say
Batista
what?
was he in the first movie?
Yes, he was. He was in both movies. Dave Bautista. His performance is probably the one I didn't really understand. I don't know why Denis Villenueve had him yelling all the time. Doesn't make any sense to me. That was the only performance I did not like.
What is this? Who is this?
Dave Bautista, Drax from the Guardian of the Galaxy.
Oh yeah, eyebrowless man.
Yeah, he plays one of the Duke Harkonnen, one of the Harkonnen boys. Basically,
Harkonnen boys.
He's given the chance to restore spice production to the planet of Arrakis after they've destroyed House Atreides, and he miserably fails, due in no small part.
Which honestly,
and this isn't to the second movie.
Obviously. I didn't see how he failed. I did not see it. I didn't see it.
He failed epically.
I mean, like,
he got
his ass.
Is that
he got his ass beat?
So in the first one, is that
what you really, really want?
Wait. In the second one, is that when he goes down and like it's like kind of it's very dusty and he has a hard time seeing what's in front of him? And then like his people get knocked out one by one.
Yeah, and he runs away like a dog with his tail between his legs.
You should give him credit, okay? How about let's have some compassion on this fictional character?
No, I'm just saying compared to his cousin, like
his psychotic cousin.
Oh yeah, his cousin's crazy, but I'm just talking about in relation to what the Duke gave them to do, the Duke of the House Harkonnen. The assignment he gave, that's what I'm talking about. Like,
I think there could have been some grace in his efforts.
Oh yeah, there's no grace in that culture.
Well, sadly. There should have been. They should grow facial hair and have grace for each other. Not asking a lot.
Yeah, they're very cruel
and creepy. And why are the women also bald? How come they all look alike?
Yeah, they all paint the Harkonnens. By the way, we're talking about spoiler warning, as always, by the way, listeners, and we're kind of bouncing back and forth a little bit, but for the most part, we're into the second movie now, talking about events in the second movie. But yeah, the first movie, really the second movie, like it's probably wasn't that hard to, like they put enough in there about the events of the first movie. Well, you probably picked up on a lot of it.
Except for the dead guy at the beginning. That didn't make any sense.
Yeah, I'm sure there were certain details they would have missed, but the basic story of like, did you understand that the Harkonnens had destroyed House Atreides, and that now Paul wanted revenge, and but he also wanted to help the Fremen to overcome the Harkonnens. It's like Yeah, I really like the first
Well,
movie. There's a lot of introductions. Obviously, you get introduced to the Atreides, you get introduced to the Bene Gesserits. Um, there is a really important scene in like Paul's development that you missed, that you didn't get to see, since you missed the first movie or haven't seen it yet, and that is the head Bene Gesserit. I don't know if priestess is the right word, but and I cannot remember the character's name off the top of my head, but she comes and tests Paul. He puts his hand in that box, the same box that the crazy psychotic Harkonnen boy had to put his hand in, a similar box. Like they didn't show that because they'd already shown it in the first movie, so it was like people already know what it's going to be. But in the first movie, they show Paul going through the test, and it puts him through extreme pain. And basically, the Bene Gesserit priestess, I'm going to call her the high priestess. I know that's probably not the correct term, but she's the head of the Bene Gesserit order, and she wants to see if he can control, I think as she puts it, his animal nature. I guess his can he control his emotions in the midst of extreme pain, and he does, so much so that he eventually is able to like stare her down face to face, like almost defiantly, like he masters the pain enough. Like had he not, she would have killed him. Like he's like too dangerous to be left alive, I guess, in her view. um so that's a pretty big scene that you miss, not having seen the first movie. It's an important part
He didn't
in his
know,
story.
Richard. He didn't know. He
I know.
didn't.
No.
He didn't know.
That's why I'm telling him. I'm spoiling the first movie for you.
Oh man, this
so I have
episode.
questions. I have questions.
Yeah.
So in the second movie, when white bald head dude puts his hand in the box,
Yeah.
he just gets off on that sort of thing.
No, he's being tested as well, and she has a
But then later she's like, "I have done the dirty, mother. I am a child."
Yes.
yeah. He basically essentially got raped there.
Yep.
Just pretty much.
Yep.
Like he got used. He was getting used by the Bene Gesserit.
Maybe, okay, real quick. Maybe this could be the episode where we convince Will to watch the first movie.
Oh yeah.
Bum, 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 bum.
Well, I feel like in this one,
What it was the original film, and are these remakes?
so I do know quite a bit. And some of this I've gotten from shout out to the podcast What Went Wrong. It's one I've been listening to over the last few months, and they really dive deep into backstories of movies and like how they were made and challenges that were faced, and development and production and all that. And it's put on by someone who is a director himself, and then another person who works within the podcasting world. But anyway, they covered the 1984 Dune movie, and in the course of talking about that film, which was directed by David Lynch, and it starred Kyle MacLachlan, and it also features a Patrick Stewart, although not very prominently. His character maybe gets maybe 5 to 10 minutes of screen time total, but he's in there. His part is played by Josh Brolin in these two newer films.
Was Josh Brolin the guy who played Thanos?
Yes. Yeah, and he plays like Paul Atreides calls him the old man in this one.
Oh,
That's
I didn't recognize the beard
either.
the actor's name is Josh Brolin. But anyway, you were asking whether other versions of the film have been made. So there was the first attempt, and all of them, of course, based on the book Dune by Frank Herbert, which came out in 1965. But Gurney Halleck, that's who Josh Brolin plays. I couldn't remember his character's name for a minute there. But anyway, 1984 was the first attempt, which I think, did you say you started watching it?
Me?
I thought you said you started watching it.
Absolutely not.
No, okay.
It reminds me too much of Star Trek.
That's right. It was my sister. My sister was watching it. That's what it was. But no, I rewatched that not too long ago, and it was a valiant attempt. I think the studio, if memory serves me, the studio got involved, and some. I think the director was kind of forced to make cuts that he didn't want to make, and end up making it a lot shorter than it probably needed to be. It needed to be longer. Probably needed to be at least 3 hours long, but they cut it down to 2. And the result is like the first half is paced really well, and it's just really engaging, and then the second half, he just like, it's way too fast and too many things are missing from the plot. So that film, the production value, I mean, they spent a lot of money on it. I think it was like a $40 million budget, which was very high.
Oh my
for back then. It was a very high budget movie for back then, and they put a good chunk of that in the production design. So it was well done, but it wasn't a big success. Was not really a success in the box office or things like that. The next time anybody made an attempt to make a movie was actually was made into a miniseries, a TV miniseries. I believe it came on the Sci-Fi Channel, if I'm not mistaken, on cable. I think I may be wrong about that part, but it was a TV miniseries that I believe went to cable, and then afterwards you could get it on DVD, which is where I watched it back in the day. This came out in the year 2000, and the Duke Leto Atreides was played by William Hurt, and then honestly I can't remember any of the other actors that were in it. That one was forgettable, I think. I've only seen it once. So yeah, those are the 2 times that filmmakers have tried. And prior to the 1984 film, there were several false starts, like producers who tried to get it off the ground, and it just didn't quite work out.
Right.
Sorry, our camera went out for a minute there. Don't know why. Anyway,
it happens.
Yeah, so yeah, and then when I heard that Denis Villeneuve was going to be filming his own version, I got excited because I love Denis' work. Laura and I both went to see one of his other films in theaters.
What'd we see?
Arrival.
We didn't see Arrival in the theater.
Yeah, we did.
No, we did not.
Yeah, we did. We went to see it in the theater.
No,
yes,
I would not.
Yes, we did.
No, Richard, I love you. I would not have gone to the theater to see Arrival. I love Arrival. Look, I love Arrival.
I'm pretty sure
I didn't see it. I
thought you went with me.
Pretty sure I didn't, because I was like, wow, another space movie about aliens. Count me out.
Maybe it was my sister then.
Maybe.
I thought I remembered you going with me.
Pretty sure. Hey, so real quick, last time
we've seen it together since.
Hold on, Pickles. The last time I was in the theater.
This was 2016. So this is a long time ago.
Was when I was with you, Will, and Mandy was there. What movie was that? Was that Guardians of the Galaxy 8 or something?
That was Man of Steel.
3. That's right. That was the last time I was in the theater.
Yeah. Well, Arrival. Okay. This came out like, I think you were pregnant with our first kid when it came out. It was 2016. It was a long time ago.
Oh, wow.
So I mean, almost certain you came with me, but
okay.
Anyway,
I don't remember that experience.
That movie is outstanding.
Outstanding.
So yeah, and then he also did Blade Runner 2049 and Cesario, and yeah, he's just an excellent director. Really has a mastery of visuals. He chooses good cinematographers and just has a real feel for.
It's the sound. It's the crispy sound.
Sound design too.
Give me some
off the charts.
Sign me up for crispy sounds. Crispy sound. Crispy. I said it, Will. Crispy sounds. Hold on. Speaking of crispy sounds, hi. We're passing the baby.
We lost our video. So Will, do you have any other questions that you
Who is your favorite character?
I like Spice World Jesus a lot.
Spice World Jesus. Wait, was that the Sandman who was like, "Hey, he's actually the Messiah"? That guy?
Yeah,
Me
that's
too,
what I'm
Will.
calling.
Me
But
too.
and I didn't necessarily like the character played by, well, no, I like the character played by Zendaya, but I couldn't get over the fact that every time I see her I think Spider-Man.
Yeah.
But but she did a good job though.
Yeah, she did.
Uh
I like the language they spoke. I thought that was really cool and believable.
okay, how about this? I don't have questions, I have thoughts.
No, you can't have those. I'm sorry.
You have thoughts?
There we
Okay. Hey,
go.
our camera's back.
Got video
Oh
back.
yeah. What are your thoughts?
Well, I really enjoyed the film. I found myself bored, but I think that was just, I don't think that was the movie's fault. I think it was just how I was feeling that evening. I was kind of withdrawn and feeling a little depressed.
Hmm.
Anyway, I'm feeling better tonight. I don't think that was the movie's fault. I really liked how the movie handled politics and religion. It did it in a better way. That Star Wars, George Lucas tried to handle those things in the Star Wars films, but I think that they were handled much better in this Dune film. Um, I mean, Darth Vader was supposed to be a Messiah, a chosen one, but
Oh,
honestly, that was lackluster.
yeah.
Um, uh, I mean, I really like the Darth Vader character. Don't get me wrong. I just think that the build up wasn't really there. It could have been better, but I feel that I've never read the novel Dune, but if they got it really close to the novel, I would think that the author had studied these topics and it had a good feel for them, I guess. Because it came out in the film, they did a good job.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he goes into great detail in the like the novel is it's huge. It's a long book. I actually listened to a unabridged dramatized version of it back in the day, back one of the
Oh,
periods when I had an Audible subscription. This has been a long time ago. It's before I saw any of the films, I think actually. And that was it's fascinating. Yeah, and it gets much more into the Benny Gesserit training. Like you kind of get inside the head and like you see more, you learn more about Jessica and how she trained Paul and like yeah, it just
What's with their names?
they which ones?
Some of them sound very modern, some and simple, and some of them are like,
Oh, yeah, like Duncan, Idaho.
well, how about Jessica and Paul and I don't know, Zendaya's well, she's Johnny for fuck's sake.
Chani.
Oh,
Johnny.
see, no, it's not because I saw subtitles and it said Johnny with a J.
Yeah, that was her. What do you say? Her not her secret name.
It wasn't her secret name, it was her real
Or was
name
her
or preferred her
her
preferred
preferred
name.
name? Yeah.
But so some of the names were very unique and peculiar, and the other ones were kind of like boring white names. So I want to know why.
boring white names.
Yeah.
Those
Yeah.
boring white names used to be Jewish names, but now they're
No,
boring white
Jessica,
names.
Jessica, Jessica,
Yeah, actually, I think Jessica is.
Jessica.
I
Okay.
think Jessica is a Jewish name.
Boring white names of the 20th first century.
Like Paul, obviously Jewish name originally.
Yeah, I know. I
Or
read the
actually, I don't know if
Bible.
Paul is.
I know.
Saul.
I know
Saul would
things.
be Saul.
Anyway, but
Saul.
why are some of those names very common? Why? Does it
There might be like that's. Hmm.
Well, you can't account for everything in fiction.
Yeah, I can't speak for all of Frank's reasons for like why he picked, like why did he give, the main character the name Paul? Like I don't know. Obviously, the Apostle Paul, the only significant religious reference, and he's not a Messiah, although he claimed to speak for the Messiah, but like he was not himself a Messiah figure. So I don't know.
Well,
I don't know if anything was meant to come of that, or if he just like the name Paul. Like honestly don't know any backstory to that myself as to why Frank may have picked that. Um, and Duncan, Idaho just seems really random.
That's
Like
just
yeah.
funny.
I
That's
have
just
a
funny.
feeling that's like a personal touch type thing. Maybe like maybe there's a town named Duncan, Idaho,
So it's like
and maybe
Johnny
Frank Herbert
Utah.
liked it or something. I don't know. I don't know. I couldn't tell you, but my guess is as many authors like they'll put some little personal touches in there, but then they'll also like maybe try to borrow or evoke some things from other mythologies, and obviously with the themes, both religious and political, he's drawing inspiration from a lot of sources like
Ugh.
Greek and Rome, Greek epics, and like obviously
Yeah.
biblical epics, and like just so
Oh,
many,
oh.
but then making it his own as well, like his own,
Right.
creating his own thing. And that's what he's not intending it, I don't think, to be an allegory, to be like a representation of another story or a true story. It's just he's making his own story, but he's drawing inspiration from that. That's how I take it, from many other.
Will.
Yeah.
Will. In the first one, Timothy, little Timmy, keeps having dreams. Like all of these repetitive dreams that feel more like visions. And then when he's hmm?
Are they spice dreams?
No, they're not. They're not. They're
Okay.
just regular ass dreams. And then he gets to the desert and then smells the spice. And then it's like, wait, this dream has it's a little heavier, it's a little deeper. And it's like something like more of his visions get more revealed. And so yeah, that happened more in the first one. So he's special. He's a special boy. He's a special boy with special dreams.
I don't think Timothy was in the second film
Huh?
that I saw.
Timothy
I thought you
Chalamet.
said Timothy.
Yeah, Timothy.
What? Who's Timothy?
She's not talking about a character name, she's talking about
Sorry,
the
the
actor.
actor who
Oh,
plays Paul.
okay.
The actor who plays
Timothée
Paul is a
Chalamet.
special boy who has special
Right.
dreams.
Paul Atreides, Maudib.
Right.
Little rat boy.
Little rat boy.
Little rat boy.
Oh yeah, the Harkonnens refer to, at least to the Fremen, as rats.
So when Luke Skywalker was shooting rats in the trench, do you think that was a knock on Dune?
Wait, which one came first?
Dune came before Star Wars.
Oh,
Yeah, and
Shots have been fired.
George Lucas has said that he drew inspiration from Dune for some of his
I think Dune's better.
Star Wars elements.
Take that universe. I think Dune's better than Star Wars.
I mean, Frank Herbert is most definitely a better writer than George Lucas.
Yeah, I
I'm sure
agree.
George Lucas would probably agree with that, assuming. But obviously, George Lucas is good at writing story. Like he's good at coming up with a story. But he absolutely, just pulled from other mythologies. He adapted it and kind of made his own thing out of it. But he very much borrowed from many other places.
And he's a special boy too.
Yep.
Look at us. Look at us. Look at us, guys. Look at us.
So is there parts of, because obviously I'm more familiar with the subject matter and with the book and everything than both of you are, like were there elements of the plot that did not make any sense to you. Like,
I don't know if we have enough time in this episode.
So I'm curious, like someone coming to it more fresh, like their parts are like, what is going on here?
You're a fresh boy, Will. What do you think?
Well, I mean, I'm a fresh boy.
Yeah.
Um, well, I was able to figure out most of it. I don't understand why they switched to black and white in some of the scenes. Uh, you and I, Richard, were talking about that the night after the movie, but I
Oh,
guess
like
artistic maybe.
when they go to the Harkonnen planet.
Yeah,
Yeah,
was that a different planet? I just figured it was like North on the same planet. I was so
Yeah.
confused.
no, yeah, they didn't
Yeah, I
spell
thought
it
it
out.
was too.
That was the planet that the Harkonnen are from. I think that's what I gathered. That was not Arrakis because the Duke like once like he never until towards the end there he actually never comes to Arrakis. Like he sends his I think it was his son um initially, like the Dave Bautista character, and I cannot think of his name at the moment. Trying to look it up here. Oh, he's like way down in the billing. Can't find it. Oh, there it is. There it is. Beast Raban. Beast Raban. Oh, fun. um, but he is like after the destruction of House Atreides in the first film, which he spearheads. So he was successful at that, I suppose, although he had a lot of firepower, including soldiers sent from the Emperor. But then he in the second one, is trying to then restore the spice trade and get it back up to speed. But yeah, but the Duke, who I believe is his father, either his father or his uncle. I think it might be his uncle now that I think about it. I think both those boys might have been nephews of his. But anyway, the head of the House Harkonnen, he stays on his own planet, I think, with the exception of like right after they had first destroyed House Atreides in the first film, he does come basically to gloat over Leto Atreides and is almost killed actually by Leto, which is why he's on those weird like floating ball respirator things in the second.
Oh, okay.
That was kind of cool.
Yeah,
That was kind of cool.
they did a really good job with that special effect.
Why is the slug man so sluggish? Answer me that.
I guess he's just a glutton.
Gluttony. Where
Do
did the
you think
emperor where did the emperor come from?
I don't know.
Mama?
Who did he bang to get his daughter? That's what I want to know.
Oh, that I don't know. I don't know if that's addressed in the book or not. Might not be relevant to the plot, but
I want to know.
yeah, I don't. They don't address, at least in the film, who her mother is. But they do point out that she has received training from the Bene Gesserit. And it is interesting, which obviously this is the way it plays out a lot of times in the real world, but how there was definitely like an alliance between the religious leaders and the political leaders.
Who's the religious leaders being the bitches?
The Bene Gesserit.
The Reverend Mothers.
And then
what about them hats, by the way?
Them hats were wonderful,
those
Richard.
giant hats.
Them hats were wonderful.
They had black veils and everything.
I thought it was awesome.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty cool.
This is what I want to know. How hot was the desert? Because look, it got up to 70 today in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. And let me tell you, I was sweaty a little bit. So how hot was it in the desert? Also, what did they smell like? Does the book talk about that? Because they probably did not smell good because they can't take baths.
There's
Also,
no water.
what did they eat? Answer my 4 questions.
They ate desert rats.
Desert rats.
Yeah, but it is interesting that they don't address that. I guess because water is like the main thing. Like if you don't have that, that's like almost, I mean, it's probably fair to say it's a part of their religion. It's like there's camera went out again. Sorry. There it is. Um, but yeah, it is interesting though that they don't make even a passing reference to what they ate. But I'm assuming it was like, roots of shrubs or desert plants that they could find,
Where are the
or
roots and shrubs?
hunting
I
animals.
all I saw were rats, those little kangaroo bunny rats, and then the worms. Shouldn't they have eaten the worms?
They ate worms. Exactly.
Shouldn't they
Those
have- because
things are huge.
those little punks were big. The baby one was big.
Yeah. Ugh.
They
I don't.
obviously worm farmed.
I don't know.
They're like puffer fishes. You just have
That's
to
right.
serve the right slices of meat, or otherwise you go weird.
And then they have the
Oh,
blue
you
juice.
die.
They have the blue juice inside them, and they're like, "This is the water of life. This is how."
We don't touch the blue juice.
Well, they did.
Well, I liked how, and I've not read any of other Frank Herbert's other work, but I like how he, and it's particularly as is portrayed in the movie, but like he really toes the line between the spiritual and the scientific, where you're like, you don't know where one starts and the other ends in a lot of ways. And it's like there's speculation, like, there's like between the unknown and the known, kind of like some of the spiritual practices have a way of accessing like natural forces, and there's the interplay there, but then you have the mythos around it, and just the yeah, I just really liked how he treated that, and particularly how Denis Villeneuve handled that in the second film, especially, but both films, but especially the second film. Um, no, you had some thoughts on the religious elements as well.
Not anything important. I was just in my mind trying to figure out now what was the author's name again?
Frank Herbert.
Frank Herbert.
Hmm.
I was just trying to figure out what his inspirations were. That was about it. I nicknamed some of the characters like Paul. I nicknamed Sandworld Jesus, and then the head Harkonnen I nicknamed Herod, King Herod. But
Yeah. It
and his
wasn't.
nephew I nicknamed Satan. But
He does remind you a little bit of
So
Satan, like
creepy.
Satan in the Passion of the Christ.
So creepy.
yeah.
Like if Satan from Passion of the Christ and the alien from Prometheus had a baby, it would be let's see, let me get the character's name
That's a little too far.
right here. It would, where is he? It would be Fade Routha. Which, by the way, his he played Elvis not too long ago. Austin Butler plays that.
Wow.
Yeah, his breakout film was Baz Luhrmann's movie on Elvis. Did we watch that together?
We didn't finish it.
Yeah, that was pretty good. I thought it was interesting. Yeah, he did a great job with that. But he impressed me with his vocal performance, because his regular voice doesn't sound anything like that. But he made himself sound a lot like the Duke. The Duke's character, played by Stellan Skarsgård, Baron Harkonnen.
His name is Stellan. I thought it was Stalin.
Stellan
Okay.
Skarsgård,
Can I see that?
whom I first saw in Good Will Hunting.
He's a guy who just has a perpetual old face.
Yeah, although when you watch him in Good Will Hunting and then you watch him now, you can tell the difference. Plus, he was blonde back then, and he's not blonde anymore. That blonde Norwegian. He's got 3 sons who are all acting.
Oh, cool. It's weird how that works.
Yeah, you don't see that too often, where like multiple kids from the same family like follow in the acting footsteps. Like usually it's like 1, maybe 2, but 3 is pretty impressive. Like, I don't know if
Yeah.
I don't know if impressive is the right word, but yeah, but unique, I guess. Yeah, I mean, you got, was it Bill Skarsgård who played It, I think, one of his biggest roles, his breakout role, and then uh, Alexander Skarsgård has been in movies for a while. I think the only real thing, Tarzan, he was in Tarzan and like The Northman and stuff like that. Then there's another Skarsgård too, and I can't remember his name, but he's been in quite a few different things as well. But
Question.
mhm.
What was the building that the three big worms were going after?
That orb thing.
Yes.
That's well. I have another question.
Okay. No, wait.
What-
Hold on.
That was the Emperor's
Okay,
ziggurat.
It's connected.
Oh, okay.
It was basically his tent.
His tent. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, like it was a temporary structure that he brought with him, from what I gathered.
Selfish. What was your question, Will?
Weren't those two nukes that they atomic bombs they sent over there? Why didn't we see a mushroom cloud and vaporize? They were way too close for one thing, and I know it's just a science fiction movie, but it's not real. But you know what I mean, right?
No,
All
real.
that happened, a bunch of rocks fell down and sand fell down on the troops, and the 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 tent building lost power or something when it shook around for a little bit or something like that.
Yeah, they call them atomics, but obviously this is a fictional world, so I don't know. That's where it's a little interesting when the author chose to use like modern terminology, like calling them atomics. Like, I guess he just wanted to quickly convey the idea that these are very powerful bombs, but I don't know if he meant it to be a 1-to-1. Like, yes, these are exactly like, human atomic bombs.
And they only used 4 out of the, how many were there?
Is it 92 or something like
Oh
that?
yeah. See, okay.
Yeah. Well, they accomplished their goal. Like, but yeah, but obviously, if it was like our atomics, there would be nuclear fallout and all that fun stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Although if you watch Oppenheimer, like they tested these things, like they were just a mile or so away
It's ridiculous.
when they tested them. I don't know how many people got radiation poisoning later and died from it. I couldn't tell you for sure, but yeah, the goal was to stay far enough away, and obviously there was a slight risk that they were worried that they might blow up the universe. No joke.
Yeah.
Like, start a chain reaction that would never stop. I was like, well, why did you do it, MFR? It's like,
Exactly.
if we didn't do it, the Germans would have done it. I was like, we had to do it first. That was like the reasoning. I'm like, ugh. I get it, but I'm like, ugh. Pandora's box. Anyway,
Yeah.
as a side note. Well, we kind of danced all around and went in different directions. But that's basically our review of Dune Part 2.
Well, that was us trying to figure out what we just watched and trying to explain to me what I should have watched.
You should watch the first one, Will. You should watch the first
Yeah.
one. Look, I'm saying you should watch the first one. I don't even like any of this stuff ever. No, I'm just kidding. No, you should watch.
I'm sorry for cutting you off, Richard. I guess, yeah, that was our review. It didn't seem like a review though.
Only
But
because you didn't know what was going on. I reviewed.
no, I don't.
I mean, we
Sorry,
could have just
Richard.
talked. Yeah. Anyway, so let's get into our ratings of the film. Just just based on your experience of it, like how many nerd hats out of 5 would each of you give it?
Well, I'm gonna give it a weird number, 3.7 out of 5.
Okay.
I want to give it a 4, but I'm confused whether or not I'm a little confused. So
First,
you know
Yeah,
what?
seeing the first movie probably would
Yeah.
help with some of that. Yeah.
So it definitely deserves a good nerd hat number. Yeah, yeah, 3.7 out of 5.
Okay. How about you, Laura?
I'm gonna give it a hesitant 5 nerd hats because I think I will enjoy it more not on IMAX. So I really like the creepiness of when they summoned the worms. Like the
Right. Yeah.
that was
Oh man,
I
yeah.
loved that. That
Mm.
was so fun. But on IMAX, at least here, it was way too much. It just shook the seats. It was just lots of seat shakings. It was just weird. I don't like it. But
So
that
you're
whole concept was so fun. It was so fun.
so you're calling this a perfect movie then?
Yeah,
Wow.
hesitant. I'm hesitant. I'd
Okay.
like to see it not in IMAX. Like, and also, golly Moses, it should have been way shorter. Well, the book was long. Uh-huh. But we're not reading a book. We're watching a movie. And some of us needed to go to the bathroom. Just saying. But no, hesitant 5.
Okay. Okay. Well, my first instinct in after reflecting on it for a couple of days, I guess it's not my first instinct, but kind of where I'm at with it right now after reflecting on it more. I think I'm at 4.5 with it. 4.5 out of
Ooh.
5 nerd hats. Like it's not perfect. There were a few things, particularly with how they handled some of the relational elements there towards the end. Um, I know some of those may have been actual story like between Zendaya's character and like Johnny and Paul. It was more of like they could have done more lead up to it, or just I don't know. Some of it felt a little rushed. So there were
Am I hearing that you wanted there to be more romantic
no. It's more of like I think it
story?
would have helped if they had taken a little more time to show some angst or some wrestling with him, even though he was being encouraged by his mother to make the decision that he makes at the end to take the emperor's wife or take the emperor's daughter, excuse me, as basically a political wife. Um, it just yeah, like I think they could have handled that a little bit better within the course of the film. Just yeah, if they wanted to convey that he was really torn about it,
They didn't
they
do a
could
good
have
job
done a little more
because he just
to
seemed
that.
like a big old dick at the end.
Like I understood what his motivations were supposed to be in it. Obviously, like after taking the water of life, supposedly he was enlightened to the point where he could actually see the future and like he can kind of the idea. I think it's almost mathematical, and that is a big thing in the Dune. And it's something they didn't really get into it too much in either of these films, the first or the second. But memetics, which ironically enough, the 1984 film deals with it a little more. But mathematics is huge, you know, in this, and where the scientific side of it is it probably the idea being that it opened his mind so much that he was able to see probabilities, basically to the point almost like a Doctor Strange thing, almost where his mind is like
Yeah.
open to another level.
That's what I was thinking.
So the idea is he's almost obtained like godlike powers almost, you know, since he can start to see futures.
You got the Infinity Stone.
So he's looking at there's only one path that he can take to, you know, to I guess avoid absolute destruction kind of thing, or to
Yeah.
win the goal, so to speak, to achieve the goal.
Oh.
And he had to do a political marriage in order to achieve that. So they tried to convey that on a personal level,
They didn't.
he had regret and was torn over that. And say
Yeah.
they made some efforts on that in that way, but they could have done a little bit more. I think they could have carried a little more weight.
He seems less like a dick now. Hearing that.
Yeah,
I also
so
want to
like
take back my reading.
You want to take that?
want to rethink it?
Well, no, you made a good point, and now I feel like I have to. I also don't like 5 nerd hats. I want 7 nerd hats.
Well, that's kind of how we started. We started on the 5-star rating idea, and we just made it nerd hats instead. So it's like, how many out of 5? Because it's used in so many places, like how many out of 5 would you give? So we've been using that almost from the beginning of our rating process. But
4.7.
5 being
4.7.
5 being a perfect movie,
4.7.
and 1 being like terrible, 0 being like, this should never have been made. This should not exist. Burn the copies,
Oh, we can watch some of those movies too.
But anyway, getting back to 4.5, like there were a couple elements like how they handled that towards the end, and then also Dave Bautista's character, how he was, because he's a good actor. I've seen him do more nuanced performances, so I know. Actually, in another Denis film, Blade Runner 2049. So I wish they had made him in be like an angry meathead, and that's kind of frustrating. Maybe that is how he was in the book, so maybe that is true to the book. I don't recall, but that was just a little disappointing. I felt like he was underused or misused, and I didn't like that. It took me out of this. Like each time, it took me out of the story, I think, because he's like yelling all the time and just annoying. So for those reasons, like I'm bumping it down to 4.5. It's not perfect, but across the board, just excellent film. Like the visuals are stunning, the music is awesome. Hans Zimmer knocked out of the park. The sound design is amazing. If they don't win the Oscar, like for that, it's something's wrong. It's just, and I know movie coming out in March, that might be hard, because sometimes it's going to be another like almost a year before the Oscars come out. But this should win Oscar for sound production. It's just,
is there going to be a third one?
Yes.
Yes.
They're already working on Dune Messiah, which is the next book in the series, and they're going to continue the story on. At least that's the plan. And this one already had a really strong opening weekend, better than the first film. So I think that's going to be greenlit pretty soon. Yeah. Anyway, all that to say, 4.5 nerd hats out of 5 for me. No, it's a great film. Not perfect, but great. It's a great film. Denis Villeneuve is a master filmmaker. I love his work. So, and that Timothée Chalamet, I would say this is his best performance to date.
His eyebrows look so good. He has some great eyebrows.
Yeah.
Wish I had those eyebrows. I do.
Yeah, his movie Wonka comes out tomorrow on Max.
Nope, no one should see that. That's just creepy.
It's a prequel apparently to the Willy Wonka story. Yeah, the previews I've seen don't make me really want to see it, but I'm I don't know. Anyway, side note. And by the way, I found out the correct way to pronounce his name is Timothée. It's Timothée. It's French. Timothée Chalamet. But he usually lets people call him Timothy anyway, because he's like, it's not worth it.
We're not French.
I think his father is French Canadian. I think.
Oh.
Anyway,
Canadian.
Said that several times. We should wrap this up. So, nerds, thanks for joining us for another movie review. Sorry, it's a couple days or a day or two late. Just scheduling, all that good stuff.
We're sick.
It's sickness, like all kinds of fun stuff has gotten in the way.
Everyone's throwing up all the time.
So we're just like
everywhere.
We got it done. That's the main thing. We got it done.
All 3 of us saw a movie together.
Yeah.
Look at us.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
We should hold hands.
Well, I'm not sick yet.
Yeah, hopefully you won't.
Not yet.
I thought I was out of the woods that night, and apparently not. So hopefully you won't get what I have. That would suck.
Yes, it would.
or blow. But not blow chunks, because I haven't done that.
I don't like this conversation anymore.
It's that time of year. All the gastrointestinal disorders of multiple types are going around. Fun.
Worms. Oh my God.
Worms.
No, don't be talking about worms.
Some of the worms, bitch.
All right. Well, until next time, nerd persons, live long and prosper.
Sayonara.
I still don't know what to say. See ya.